Hello there, kia ora. I've just been reading a quick file I've got called the No Shit Sherlock file. In it, I put news stories that highlight some of the stupid decisions the government made and the really clearly obvious outcomes of what those are going to be. I'm really looking forward to putting in the whole environmental disaster thing from the fast track bill when that goes through. But the latest edition that I've got at the moment is actually around education attendance levels. You see, it turns out that attendance levels are still dropping around the country. There's a number of factors for this, like winter illnesses being a really big one. But we're still seeing dips on Fridays, for example, which has been a long time feature of school education numbers. And it turns out that that rule change for the guidelines on when you can send a sick kid to school probably didn't help very much at all. After all, the government didn't do anything around increasing the safety of classrooms with things like better air quality filters or enforcing masking rules. Instead, they just said, look, if you're feeling a little sniffly or you've got a slight headache, you'll be fine. What could possibly go wrong by sending you into a crowded room full of people without ventilation? What could possibly happen? And now we've seen whole classes have to shut down and different education models kick in for people to work remotely again. And for students, this is obviously very disruptive. Students, however, are pretty damn adaptable, so they're still learning just in different ways. And we saw that when COVID first hit. The way that education changed and students' ability to be able to adapt to that certainly came into play, but it also changed some of the attitudes that people have towards a certain structure of education. It's one of the reasons why we've seen a slight increase in the number of people who don't go to schools on Fridays, because the families have told those schools that for them, family time is a really important time, as important as education. It's just changing the way that our society looks at education in different ways. But at the same time, this government is very much nibbling around the edges with things like the guideline changes and trying to shame parents into sending their kids to school with online trackers, but also enforcing things like cell phone bans and structured learning so that schools fit a very sort of conformed output in what they're doing and how they approach student education. But it does make charter schools look so much more like a viable option because kids can learn at their own rate and they can have cell phones and attendance isn't marked the same way and they get even more funding than the Ministry of Education gets for public schools. Realistically, this was always going to be the case over winter. There would be a hit on our attendance levels, but what we're not seeing is a change in attitudes from people to actually getting people in school because our values have changed slightly and our techniques have changed slightly, and nobody wants to do something that's going to make their kids sick or put somebody else's kids or teachers at risk. But do you know what the current idea is behind trying to fix this? How they're going to do that? With a social media influencer campaign, and about $7,000 a pop for the last ones that they did that had no discernible outcome on a grand scale. They do find that education campaigns done on a school by school basis, where they have a better idea of how the community works, has more of an impact. But one of the ideas put forward was that they should just encourage people to go to school 5 days a week using online influencers. Bet you that's going to work out really, really well, just like all the other plans that they've got. The cell phone ban, the structured learning, nibbling around the edges of when a sick kid can go to school. Really well thought out ideas that are probably all going to end up with stories going back into my No Shit Sherlock file. Wait, you're still here? It's over. Go find another video.